Overwatch World Cup. We are coming at you live from Bangkok, Thailand, and I am your host, Mika. I am so happy to be here with this amazing crowd, with these amazing players, and watching some incredible gameplay so far. So far we have seen Australia go up against Denmark. Denmark took it 3-1. China went up against Thailand, and China just took it 3-2. Coming up next, we will be seeing Australia go against Sweden. Right after that, Denmark will be going up against China, and then to round out the day, Spain will be versing Sweden. And don't forget, if you want to be a part of the action at home, use the hashtag OWWC2018 for a chance to be featured in our fan pulse brought to you by T-Mobile. But I know that everybody out there and everybody watching at home wants to get right back into the awesome Overwatch action that is the World Cup. I got Sweden over here, I got Australia over there, and these guys are ready to play some Overwatch. So let's kick it over to our casters, Wolf and Achilleos.
Thank you very much, Mika. Guys, it's good to be back, and I agree. I am ready to dive into some more Overwatch back on the day. Sweden going up against Australia. This could be a very close series, much like we just had a surprising one. Thailand nearly pulling off a reverse sweep over China, but unfortunately can't quite get it.
I mean, this is a really tough one to call. Australia underperforming, I think, against Denmark earlier today. And it's only Sweden's very second match. They played the single match against China yesterday, ended up losing that with a 1-3 scoreline, and they will, of course, face off against Spain at the end of today's matches. So each team plays, has a one-match day and then two match days, right? So yesterday was Sweden's one, so they got to watch Australia play twice yesterday, so they have a lot more information going into this match. And Australia, of course, playing earlier today means they've got a good, decent idea about what to expect going into this series. When we look at Australia, I think we have to talk about Huss. We have to talk about Punk. These two players have been super impactful for this squad. Yeah. Huss, in particular, on the Sombra, the communication that they've had together to dive and kill the backline has kind of been their play style. They've also been running a ton of Pharah. So those are the big things to look out for Team Australia in this series.
Yeah, they've had really great moments here in their CKM as well. Fantastic barrages on the Pharah, scattered throughout those games that we've seen so far, but still some ups and downs, need to stabilize, need to have some consistency there. And then, of course, Team Sweden going to be coming through the return of Ryan Force just to tilt him. And, I mean, they're looking for a little bit of redemption. As you said, they've only played one match so far. We're unable to pick up that victory, so we'll see if they can handle it here versus the Aussie boys. But starting us off here on Control, it's going to be Ilios. Yeah,
Ilios will be the starting map, and this is a map that I think suits Australia's playstyle actually a little bit better than it does suit the style of Sweden, because they like to run more Reinhardt Zarya, and this is, of all Control maps, probably the toughest map to utilize that composition on. Sweden is showing.
They're already hovering it.
Yeah, they're hovering it right now. But if you look at Australia's comp, they get to run the Sombra, the more dive-oriented composition with the Pharah mixed in. They had issues yesterday against the GOAT-style composition on Lijiang Tower, but on this map in particular, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to utilize what Sweden has locked in right now. We'll see if they continue to use it for the entirety of this map or if they swap it up. If Sweden, however, can get control of the point itself, they can actually control that lighthouse, then Australia is going to have a tougher time utilizing the Sombra, because there's not going to be a backline target to pick. They'll have more difficulty using the Pharah because they're going to have that fortification inside the lighthouse.
Yeah, have to drop it down through the roof, but you know exactly where she's going to be coming from, so you can make those barrages very predictable for Team Australia. We'll see if they can go ahead and get that early control. Huss is going to be sprinting forward, trying to scout out. We'll be seeing the 3-3 coming through from Sweden here shortly as they get ready to spot out the squad. And this should come as really no surprise to them. That's why they already have this far prepped. Rockets coming down so far, not finding any connections. It's going to be Sweden playing very far back, going to be waiting for that speed boost to charge the point once it unlocks, you would expect here.
Here it comes.
Not going to be pushing down. Custom Blast not going to be putting a knock off the side. Reinforce a couple tags, but now it's going to be Sweden. They're inside. This is what you're talking about, the fortification. The first cap's going to be coming through.
Perfectly timed speed boost to get in here as the point unlocks, but Ludi's out.
Yeah, very surprising pickup there. CKM wrapping around the backhand side, finds one. Now the big also going to be falling. They're taking an absolute stitching here on that mech. It will get popped out in Sweden, despite the first cap to charge through to safety. just absolutely crumble here on this defense. The team wipe comes in, and Australia will just go ahead and flip this one over 23%. 22% is all Sweden's going to have.
And just above 22 is the 28 that Reinforce is holding in terms of ult charge here. Breaking this point with a speed boost is not going to be as easy when you've got Huss holding this EMP. No way to hard engage with the Shatter, and if he dies early, he's going to not have it for the next follow-up potential push.
Here we go. Everybody set up perfectly for Huss to just drop that one in, but we have to wait for the kills to spill forward. Reinforce taking a lot of damage. We're trying to heal him back up, and CKM again has the rockets coming through. Finds the hit. The barrage is thrown down straight on top of the Vic. He will crumble. Couple shots, man. I think it's going to be all off the side of the map. They know that this fight is gone. Sweden, do they keep trying to push this, or do they swap up the comp? They have a Graviton Surge online, but that's about it.
And the problem is that, you know, there's just not, there's not a whole lot to utilize here. If Tavik had a rally, at least they could pre-rally to try to set up for the push, to get Reinforced into position. They don't have Coalescence or a barrier, so Reinforced is just going to have to throw himself at this point, hope for a good fire strike to get that Shatter, but he's already spotted out. Everyone is ready to disrupt this comp, as you can see here.
Trying to push them all away from each other, and then he yet again, something's not going to be thrown down, and Punk finds two! Just like that, this fight is going to have to be abandoned by Sweden. You would expect unless they can pull off an absolute miracle, but to Vic, he already knows that it's done. He'll bail off this side. But this is the thing with the GOAT's composition. Now they have 4 ultimates online, no support ones, but they have the Graviton Surge. Can they, if they can set that up,
they're just going to swap it, though.
They're actually abandoning them.
I think at this point you have to, because if you use all your ults to get a flip at 22%, then Australia will just wait. They know that Sweden has their ults, right? So they just wait, then give it, and then use their ults to retake, and you lose the map. So it's a rough choice to make, but they've got to make it.
Yeah, a tough one indeed. Never feels good to throw away that many ultimates. Australia with the Primal Rage has them cornered in. Chip's going to be falling. That's going to be Liddy going down as well. Sweden already supportless as we hit 95% here for Australia. We're going to close this one out pretty cleanly. Push forward comes through. Pop Manhattan out of that back. And then I'll reinforce it's all alone here on the point. It's going to be the EMP coming down to Vic. Dead. Everybody. Sweden just absolutely falling to the wayside. As Australia looks to close out Lighthouse here. Very commanding.
Yeah, that should be it as we just see the final kill there onto Sharp. And this is just going to be one of those bad matchups for Sweden, you know? They just simply, this is not their style. It's a map that doesn't suit what they've been preparing, what they've been utilizing, what they tried to run against China yesterday. The Reinhardt Zarya is not meant for Lighthouse. It's so difficult if you can't consistently build ultimates on that first capture. They got the first cap. CKM rotated around though, got the first pick onto Ludi, and then was just uncontested doing that rocket damage. And before you trade up on those ultimates and get that first real secured capture, you're kind of vulnerable as GOATs. And then when you try to retake the point, you're always going to be spotted out by Huss. He's going to look for those EMPs. He's going to be hitting the back line. And then Farah, of course, dropping concussive blasts, knocking you away. It's just such a stressful approach.
A rough start here for Sweden. We'll see if they can fare a bit differently. We'll be kicking things off with the Winston. Not going to be trying to go for the GOAT's composition this time around as we enter in onto Well. Pushing forward Sharp. It's going to be operating on the McCree here. Tavik still on Brigitte.
Yeah, so a little bit out of their comfort zone, I think, here for Sweden, but running a composition that makes more sense for the map. There's a lot of burst damage with this McCree, and they can counter the bar. They already predicted that Australia would run again.
Chips beat the first one getting picked off here. Sharp now under fire. Trying to stay alive, gets that flashbang in, just 180s around. Takes down Huss. Here for Sweden. Launcher forward and on the point. Trying to get that first cap rolling through. Pump's operating on the side. Drill on the other opposite end. Bubble comes down, helps him alive. Bio grenade thrown in. Will be able to top up that Winston. So far, points still not going to get locked down by either end. CKM now with the barrage online. Might be trying to change that. Throws it down. Benefits it popped out. But Moody, of all people, right and high here. It's those hits. Going to get the roof off. We'll go ahead and throw it back into the mix.
Punk with some incredible protection there, just keeping this fight going. Ludi's going to get knocked in, hacked, and it looks like Australia will finally take this, but I mean, insane protection there onto Trill. By Punk, he got to hold his Primal. They're going to have an EMP. The McCree pick here for Sweden is so smart against what they've studied, what Australia has been running. So much Farah, so great against Huss on the flanking Sombra. But the longer fight is won just from good protection there. Huss now holding this EMP. In just a moment, he will be able to launch it here.
Oh, CKM going to get taken down.
Well, that's going to make them wait, I think, a little bit longer to hard engage.
Oh, good. Yeah, just going to see the res coming back through here for Custom. Puts CKM back into the mix. Ready to roll. Toss that one in. The strike is here from Punk. Just holding it for the moment. Just operating off to the side. The sound barrier's in, so they want to wait for that to expire. And then Rocket coming down from the opposing needle. Will go ahead and pop him out of that suit. Trill wrapping around the backhand side. Gets that flashbang in, and Sharpie is able to take him down. CM gets a knockoff there. Chip's going to get pooped out. Nick's now going to be hacked, swinging away, trying to get rid of that pesky Sombra, but the self-destructive plug will be able to take him down. Kraken traded out, but in all of this chaos, Australia still maintains control now, approaching 50%. TKM going forward will get stunned up, but not before that rocket gets released and takes down the McCree.
Australia's just doing such a good time buy here, and they will actually eventually hold off Sweden's advances. Sweden has this time a lot of ultimates to use to force their way through. The armor that Tavik has been putting on Sharp consistently to keep him alive longer is why he's doing so much damage in these fights, but it's the follow-up that seems to be missing. And because they're only able to get these single picks, the reses are kind of countering what Sharp is doing burst damage-wise. But now they have the ability to fight the longer fight with that Primal Rage, just look for a Deadeye. Huge opportunity here. This is the push Sweden wants to flip with.
Work their way in. That's going to be the rally. Coming out. Oh, Sharp, he's into the pin. TKM finds another one, sending him to his death. So will be traded out, however. Down to DPS is Sweden, down to tanking is Australia, but they're the ones who can afford the losses. They have control. They're approaching OT, if not just the win. Reinforced on the backside. The barrage is going to be dropped in. TKM takes him out. Sweden struggling as the OT rolls through. Us, EMP ready to go. Healed up.
They don't see him.
Throws it down, pushes forward. Not going to be spotted out yet. Goes for chips. Help that comes through. Help keep him alive. Trill trying to be there for the follow-up. Will not be able to take him down. Now he's just going to get smacked around and eliminated. Custom going to be falling. Truck goes up. Nothing really coming off the back end of that one. As Sweden pushes forward, looking for that flip. They are dangerously close to it, and they absolutely need it. As Reinforced pops the Primal Rage to go in and disrupt the Kraken.
Nice sleep here.
Connecting in. They're not going to wake him up. They're just going to let that Primal Rage expire. Kraken's still going to be eliminated, but finally comes in.
But they have a Primal, and they would have had it a second earlier if Trill had lived. It was so important that Sweden got that pick onto him because he was at 99% when he died. Now they have Primal plus Nano with the new Ana with the burst heal that she gives you. You're just not going to die, basically, so they can use Trill as their heavy initiator here. And while he looks for that setup, CKM is going to be floating around looking for that barrage angle. It's very difficult for Sweden to hold on to this position, especially with no ultimates here. Very aggressively used self-destructive from Management again to just try to buy time.
Chip's been showing some pretty good accuracy here. For the right and left clicks on the Zenyatta. Down those members in the sky. Look at that pharmacy pop. Be the Nano Boost on in onto Trill with a Primal Rage, but he's not really finding any targets. Now trying to drop in on top. Gets the corner in on the Chip's eye and trying to perk him down.
CKM's got a barrage.
There, gets top up. Everything really helping to keep him alive. Turning back in Australia. This cap rolling through. Baron's going to go through the scam. He's going to pop benefits out of the mech and kill off that baby Diva instantly. No further follow-up kills to be found. Still, 51% here. Australia time on their side. Shots coming down. Will be able to get rid of the deck. Another support to be gone. Again, played very far forward here from Liddy. A bit of damage, but the passive healing will come through, keeping him in the fight.
Primal's out for reinforce here, but it's very little that they have left to pair with it.
Oh, an EMP out from Huss, but it doesn't have the follow-up. No one really to help take down most of these targets. Liddy will get traded out, but it's at the cost of Trill and a Kraken, so Sweden will maintain control, and now it's going to be a massive concern for Australia. They don't have many ults in the bank.
And that EMP, I think, was perhaps a little bit overzealous. So Kraken's going to make the swap over here to this Brigida because he wants to give a little bit of extra shielding to Trill rather than, he doesn't have an Nano Boost this time to guarantee him that Primal Rage. It's crazy how long Chip's been holding that armor, which has saved him so many times against Huss's dive. So really nice positioning here from Chip's high end. Here's Punk looking for the engage to get Trill into position, get him onto this point, as you can see here. Self-destruct being hold, it's going to be the best time buy for Sweden. Here it comes.
Yeah, double OT, and it's going to be a Kraken getting taken out first. Benefit throws out that self-destruct, manages to get rid of CKM. Huss is there for the pickup, and now Clutcher is going to be eliminated as well. Support's going to be down on the side of Australia. 3 members eliminated. Full spot coming up from Sharp for the hit. Not going to find it. Punk will be able to trade it back. So Primal Rage got rid of the chips. The rest is going to be coming out on a Manathan, putting it even back to the mix. Punk throws down the self-destruct, trying to buy some space, makes it back into the suit. Finally take off, since Sweden are still in control of this point for now. Playing forward, almost has the rally, but CKM has rejoined, gets the kill in, but now Huss is going to be eliminated as well. And then pushes forward, but he's putting the barrage system down. Doesn't really have a target, just wildly trees going around, hoping God that he would find some kills. And then popped out of the back, the swap rather, still not coming through Australia. nearly have it. Just half a second on the point. It's going to be coming in now. Sweden have to get on. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do so.
Doesn't look likely. Pushed off now. Overtime, still in it.
Oh boy, just keeps on going and going. These guys do not want to back down to the might. Reinforce, however, going to be falling as a sharp drill, picking up the double kill. Chips goes down. They don't have any more tools. The Moira and the Trace are going to be eliminated, and Australia will be able to close it out with a 2-0 on Ilios.
Even after the fairly wasteful EMP there from Huss, where they had very few tools to retake the point, they made some tough decisions. They made some tough calls. They swapped a Kraken onto the Brigida, which I think was the right choice. Allowed them to utilize Trill's aggressive positioning to get CKM into range to do that damage. It's crazy how many different decisions Australia had to make on the micro level in terms of where they were going to move, what ultimates they were going to pair together when they knew they were down on ults after Sweden had that surprising turn there. Very well played by Team Australia. It was a close second round there to take the map. But remember, we do have to, again, add this caveat that this is not Australia's best map on Control. In fact, it's probably one of their weaker ones, right? So they're probably not going to be feeling too bad about this 0-2 they go into. As we move into Hybrid, it's going to be their map pick, and they can run their Reinhardt Zarya if they choose that type of map, which you would expect.
Yeah, Sweden. So, of course, you know, something like King's Row is probably going to be in the mix. You're going to stray away from the things like Numbani, which we saw yesterday. Things where dive is going to be much more prevalent. So that is certainly going to be strayed away from by Sweden with this map selection. We'll see if it's in fact going to be or if they're going to change it up a little bit. There's a couple different options. Even Hollywood is okay for the 3-3 style, but King's Row is kind of the bread and butter map for that composition, and I'm expecting that we will be seeing that one come through for these guys.
I would think so as well. You know, not a whole lot of other options for what Sweden likes to run, and most teams like to run Ghosts right now, especially if it's, you know, a comp that you feel like your opponent is trying to counter it a lot and they're not very comfortable with it. King's Row kind of levels the playing field because you have to run something similar to Goats at the very least in order to you know, play efficiently on the map in this meta. So if Australia's, you know, going to be trying to do something different than Goats if they pick King's Row, it's going to be interesting to see, to say the least. But I think when you compare Goats from Australia, which we basically haven't seen that much at all, versus Sweden, who's known for their Goats, like, it's a positive matchup for Sweden, the same way it was a bad matchup for them on Ilios. So you have to think that's the map we're going to as we go into Hybrid. And again, I don't think Sweden will be too shaken by this loss.
Yeah, and I think that honestly this could be a very back and forth series, you know, an expected one where it's just every time a team gets their map selection, they play to that style, which it's so opposing, clashing styles coming from both of these squads. It could just be wind and, you know, just alternate back and forth until we get to a fifth and final tiebreaker where Control would be up in the air, you know, depending on which map it would be. But we'll go ahead.
Surprise.
Yeah, it's going to be the King's Row coming through, so now the onus is really on Australia to shut down the very anticipated 3-3 comp that we expect to see from Sweden.
Yeah, and this is, you know, the map that they chose yesterday as well. It's a very standard map for the older style of play that, you know, Reinforce was more famous for before he became an Overwatch League analyst, of course, back in the day. Throughout the several pro teams he spent time on.
What are you talking about? This is his professional debut.
The guy, I mean, obviously has had most of his success in his career through that meta. And, you know, now is obviously a pro analyst in Overwatch League. And I know this tournament means a lot to him. He's been preparing a lot. But still, his favorite flavor of tank is going to be the Reinhardt. And the team is playing around that quite a bit. So it's a map that you expect Sweden to do well on. If they struggle here, if this map goes poorly, then you have to be worried, I think, about the rest of the series.
Yeah, absolutely. If they cannot pick up the victory here on King's Row, or even if it's a bit of a wavering victory for them, not that convincing, it still could be very concerning.
And what is also very unusual is after we've set up this entire storyline is that Reinforce is actually currently hovering the Winston. They look to be doing something that will throw Australia off. They will have Sharp on the Widow. They expect Australia to come out with a Pharah, I think, here.
Yeah.
They're going to keep the Widow somewhat hidden and then force Australia to go out of their comfort zone. Maybe try to force Australia to play Goats here. So Reinforce just totally taking this the other direction. It's a very mind-gamey plan here for Sweden. Let's see if it works out.
Exactly. I like this very much in theory. It just has to be delivered upon. If they get swept under the rug on this point 8, I think that we might just see that Reinhardt swap come through. But Australia going to be running a lot of the same Huss over onto the Sombra, CKM back on the Pharah. Just a backing them up as they take to the skies, but they see
Yeah, they see it.
a
They
little
have
bit,
to swap
and they're going to
immediately.
be swapping things up.
So now they're forcing
okay.
Australia to do something a little bit different. He's going to be running the Genji here with the Ana. Very popular on King's Road, just like back in the old days. 2016 style dive, with Sombra, of course, being the exception. No Tracer with this. You're looking for the big EMPs. Nice lead and kill here for Sweden.
Yeah, already a solid start. Just as well changing things up a little bit. Showed us the Zenyatta for the moment, but swapped over to the Lucio.
It feels like Australia is kind of caught in a bind here. You know, no strong pushes yet, no clean dive. And you can tell that Chips is just so far back, as usual, as he was on the previous map. So difficult to find him and kill him on this Ana. So the dive is so difficult for Australia to execute. And Sombra just can't easily get up there.
Well, playing it around the back. Madison's going to get hacked out. Love to have continued spreading away. Might have actually broken that mech, but not going to be finding it. Jump away from Tavik, keeping himself safe. CKM unable to pick up the kill, but Sharp, on the other hand, he's going to find the shot.
This is just strategic brilliance out of Sweden. This is such an intelligent setup here. Look at Reinforce's ult charge, almost nothing, because he hasn't needed to, because he's playing such a defensive posture. The threat of his existence is what keeps Australia back, not his damage alone. Yeah, Sharp is really the big damage dealer here. Forcing everyone into his line of sight is Australia's plan. And that's why he's doing all this damage.
Nearly lost their Ana again there. Kraken does manage to stay alive, and very slow healing. Needs to hold on to that bio grenade for this push. Punk already tagged up massively. The bio grenade has to be used now, but not going to have that for a deny. And who's going to be thrown on the Trill as he pushes up onto the high ground, just zapping away at Madison, trying to pop out of that mech. Reinforces also there to back him up, but now the Primal Rage is going to get popped. Isolate one of these supports. Valkyrie will come out from looting. He takes the skies and stays away. Second blade out from CKM, picks up Madison. Now the Vic is going to fall. Punk will follow up for that kill. Force fell low, and taking the fight in the mix, but in onto the points. Australia here as they nearly have that first tick picked up, but CKM goes
Sharp
over.
is killing it.
Sharp just takes him down, and now Hunt is going to get stomped out. No ticks coming in. This suddenly gets turned on its head. Sweden maintains control.
Incredible play by Sharp here, and Reinforce gets the Primal in the longer fight, and Australia will just be pushed away. This is just a mechanical god we are watching here.
My goodness.
Without those, this hold is impossible. Australia pushed the limits of Sweden's formation with the nano boost into the Primal. Just totally ruined Sweden's formation, but Sharp goes to the other side, grapples over, and hits those headshots down on members, knowing that Trill was on cooldown with his movement abilities, couldn't get up there. Now they're pushing without those big ultimates. It's going to be the EMP they have to lead with.
Minute 14 remaining, that's going to be the EMP coming down, but actually Sharp finds the headshot. I couldn't even say the salt from the he did. Takes it, gets the head knocked right off the shoulders, and CKM is dead as well. No DPS available here for Australia. Support staying still in the mix. Punk finds one with that self-destruct, but is that enough for them to really get in onto the point? They have one tick. So far, that's about it. Sound barrier going to be thrown down now. Australia knows that they need to make this happen right now. Working their way up, drills around the back, trying to get Madison knocked out of that mech, falls dangerously low. Will rejoin with the rest of the squad. It seems like this might just be the cap. Madison starting to push forward, but he's just alone. He's a low lead. Maybe Neva will get taken down. The cap comes through, but what a fantastic climb by from Sweden.
Really mechanical showcasing for Sharp, but Custa and a Kraken are the big winners here for Australia. Custa's sound barrier perfectly timed. Punk was probably at about 5% health when that hit. A Kraken kept everyone healed up during the barrier while the shields were fading away to win the longer sustained fight before Reinforce could get the Primal he now holds currently. If that doesn't happen and he Primals, maybe they get the full hold here. So great play on both sides here, but Sharp has just been a god, and if he just continues to hit these headshots, Sweden's going to have a hard time with his pop.
Yep. And oh, there.
Speaking of which,
let it speak for itself. I was going to say.
No caster curse this time.
He's showing fantastic Widow play. This is also going to be affecting Australia as they go deeper into this series because they love to run the Pharah. If Sharp is performing like this, suddenly your Coach Cobb's counter is a bit more questionable. I mean, obviously Widow not going to be fitting into that 3-3, but
yeah,
you still have to be concerned about running Pharah in pretty much any situation.
Well, I mean, you could easily just swap Sharp off of the Brigida and put him onto this, which is kind of what he's been doing, right? And
yeah, it would be a bit of a I mean, Tavik has been running the Brigida, but, you know, shifting up a little bit there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of ways to... hold that thought, Dragon Blade.
Yeah, Nano Blade's going to be coming down, but he's going to be hacked. Just can do that. The left wing's coming through, trying to break that neck, but it's not going to happen. Hacked on the back end. Still not going to be going down yet. The Dark Force from Menetin is looking to fix that situation. He will be able to do so. As he's piled in, the Rockets come down. Custom and CKM both going to be eliminated.
Tavik with a really nice EMP there, and then Menetin just finds the window in that room to do massive damage with the micro missiles here. And that's all she wrote for that push. Australia not using too many ultimates for this, just two, the Nano and the Blade. Plus, undetected at the moment. Let's see if they have a follow-up. He's scouted now, has to drop it.
Throws that one down, he's going to catch 2 of them. The dive's going to be coming through. Not going to be thrown down on the back end of that one, but it's going to be good. Falling, CKM traded back, and now Sharp and Chip's going to be eliminated as well. A massive opening here for Australia as they suddenly find 4, effectively 5 kills, and then popped out of that mech and taken down. Tvik, the only one going to be sneaking away with his life intact. Leaving them only at 50%. The cart can start moving forward, but again, Sweden, they're buying time. There's less than a minute now remaining, and they're halfway to be.
Huss just finding some of these incredible hides where he's undetected, setting up a big EMP. The communication was brilliant there for Australia. They have a self-destruct here. Sharp swaps over the Brigida, as mentioned earlier. Manatin has a self-destruct that's going to buy a lot of time for the contest. Reinforce also onto that Rhine, the comfort pick.
Yep. Still going to be diving into the back. Bionade coming through, hoping to keep Chips alive, and Reinforce is going to be the first one to fall. CM finds the hit, the ship going through, booping him in the face, taking down the Reinhardt. 5 seconds as they get ready to move up to just in front of point B here. Sweden fights tooth and nail to try to stop this from happening, but now Sharp is going to go down. Manatin loses the mech. I don't think he's going to be dumping that self-destruct. I think he holds onto it. He does. Liddy will fall. They can get the completion here.
They have completely changed the momentum of this map, and Reinforce again dead early without having much ult charge means that he's actually going to swap over to the Winston yet again. As this comp doesn't run well with the Rhine unless he has that consistent build-up, and he just doesn't have a setup yet. Sharp's going back to the Widow, which he's excelled on, to make it more difficult for the dive to be executed.
Okay, well, Chips finding one there onto Huss, expecting those play a sleep dart.
Yeah, probably.
Making onto the Sombra appearing. Tvik playing far forward. 15% away from that EMP, but doesn't want to show himself.
He's just gained so much information from being there. He doesn't need to show himself. He's so close to an EMP that just one set of left clicks will take that to the 100%, so not necessary to show himself. Look at his positioning right now. Super well hidden. He does get scouted now.
Boost on in onto Trill. He gets that final range available. Zapping away, trying to burn down Tvik, and he will be able to do so. That final punch. Go ahead and seal the deal on the kill. Now Reinforce also dead. Primal going to get popped. Sweden just goes ahead and kites back into the spawn room. The cart's moving forward with 38 seconds remaining. Gonna have to work their way out of here.
They've used a lot of ultimates, and they don't have a good way to mitigate Tvik's EMP. Here it comes.
Yep, throw that one down. Mana boost used on a Reinforce. Bomb coming through. Looking for the pick. Kills are still coming in for Australia. Answering
nice
EMP
angle.
out from Tvik. The follow-up kills are just not going to be found. Sweden. Through the nail now as Benton hovers in onto the cart, trying to keep this one in contention, trying to burn down that clock and force the OT, which seems heavily likely for the Swedish squad. They're going to die to that Goomba's up Drill, playing forward yet again, now finds one onto Chiptyan. They're going to desperately swap over onto the Hammond to buy a little bit of extra time, but Drill is just adding character after character into that kill feed. Another one there as Benton will get taken down, but Reinforce rejoins. Wrecking Ball just swinging around. Going NASCAR mode, swinging in a circle. Blade's going to be out, CKM looking for some hits, swiping in the air. Can't really lock anybody down. Gets one hit there on a Liddy. Almost finishes him off, but he manages to stay alive. Pump still swinging like a madman. Will get taken down now. Reinforce falling. The Wrecking Ball's constantly just swinging around the cart.
CKM
CKM's going for the resets, has it deflected up, he's going to get bursted back up, and Benton pretty much all on his lonesome with Chip, just trying to offer up some healing. Us goes into the back, fighting the deal with the Ana. Chip goes down to a sliver of HP, and CKM dashes through.
He's asleep on the plane.
On the Manatin, now it's going to be the sound barrier coming through. Sweden keeping this one going. Stop Australia as much as they possibly can, but Manatin's going to get popped out of the mech, and now they have the sound barrier thrown in by Costa. Another Dragon Blade, built up by CKM, in this entire fight. Now the Medina going to be eliminated. Reinforce goes down, Tvik is going to be dead, and I think Australia should be able to put this one over the line. 1.72 meters left to go. Chip just really tries to tag in, but he can't stay alive long enough, and Australia will get the completion in OT.
What a heroic defense attempt by Sweden it was, and it is the OT finish, as you mentioned, so not ideal. It was a rough streets phase there as Sweden had control of that early part of the streets phase past A, and they were taking good trade-ups there with Sharp on the Widow, and there were several times where Huss, who's been playing such an impactful Sombra throughout this entire tournament, was shut down by the supports, in fact, on the side of Sweden. So Team Sweden was able to, shut him down and kill him multiple times. The momentum was shifted there. Australia took a good final fight, and interestingly enough, Chips held his EMP for a really long time and only used it actually after the team fight was practically lost. And we got to talk about CKM's blades. He built 3 throughout the course of that final attack. One of them he pulled out when he had about 20% or less health and was still not afraid to use it, come in there, and took the risk. And that was part of the reason why they were able to start snowballing that final completion. And, you know, the story that we were trying to tell about this map pick has just simply not come true. Sweden is not running Reinhardt Zarya. They're running more, you know, recently re-metaed Winston after the changes to Ana. And it has looked pretty clean with Sharp on the Widow. What they run on attack, though, is going to be the big question. This is going to be kind of the big defining push for them because they will have to get completion. And it would be, I think, a big statement for Sweden as a region and for Reinforced, in fact, as a player, that to say that we tried to take Kings Row with a comp that doesn't match our identity. We're a more flexible team now, and it's a bit of a change from what we saw against China yesterday. So I like that Sweden has been pushing further forward towards something a little bit different, a little bit more flexible, more adaptability.
All right, here we go. Had a lot of craziness on that push from Australia. Slow it down, see how Sweden's going to fare as they get ready to push forward. Vic going back onto one of his classic picks again, coming through. Sharp over on his own for now. His way around, already giving up some ground here is Australia. They are operating with that Orisa. Matching on the low ground can be a bit difficult, but yeah, when the Orcs just come through onto your Winston and Reinforced dies, it's a little bit easier. Monk's going to be knocked out. Back and taken down, however. The first tick nearly comes in for Sweden. Gaining it now. Sergeant over onto the top, trying to deal with that Widowmaker. He's really low, but that's inside the grapple hook and to stay alive in the mix. Drill turns down that Sulfur. Sweden's going to be halted for now. Already one pick on the board. Not too shabby for the first push.
Yep. Reinforced didn't build that many ult percentages, but Chips is on the Ana, so that's not too big of a concern because that can practically force him to a Primal in a longer fight later on as long as he isn't insta-picked by right-click. So just really well played there by Custa, and unfortunate for Reinforced in that moment. Positioning of Custa up on that high ground really smart, so it's very difficult to dive him and threaten him with either the Winston or the Stormbreaker, or them together. Pushing in again is Sweden now. Tvik so close to that blade, and the Nano is already ready for him.
Cam still a ways away from this tire, dropping down. Tvik gonna find
Dash
two.
resets.
Get reset on. Taken down, now Trill dangerously low. Will get finished off by Manhattan. The trap comes in, locks down that Diva. CKM barely builds up with that rip target. So dangerously close, now has it online. As that final little passive of death comes through and kills off Reinforced, but Sweden gets a cap. They're going to be happy with that one.
I mean, we didn't see the exact first-person view there, but I have to assume that Tvik's dash resets there were just right through that hole. You can see right above your screen where Custa was standing there, and you know he identified they were low health.
Speaking of Custa.
Speaking of Custa, down he goes, but really well played, getting the dash resets. Reinforced still doesn't hold onto a Primal Rage, but he's been able to help get those finishing ticks of damage onto the members, get those resets. So Tvik and Chips both get to hold ultimates here for the Streets phase. Very, very impactful. And CKM sticking with the Junkrat, interestingly enough, maybe a swap after this Rip Tire, but it needs to be an impactful one. Very likely will be their best tool to shut down this blade. Here it comes first.
Here's the tire going through. We'll go ahead and take a spot at it. Suffers a bit of damage, gets the pop on the Manhattan. So, going to be an alright little exchange there. Still pushing forward with this Nano Boost up. Finish off that Baby Diva. A little bit more would have done it, but Chips is able to get the healing in now. It's going to be Transcendence popped here by Lodi, trying to keep everybody else topped up. Trill. Over to the side, CKM. That's short mid. Baby Diva here at long last, but now it's going to be a Nano Boost coming through for Tvik. Starts things off with a kill on a CKM with the dash through. Now pushing forward, gets the Yana, looking for a little bit more. The kick coming down. 21 HP remaining in Custa. One final auto. We'll just finish him off. Just gets a kick right to the chin, taking him out.
And the cart keeps rolling forward. Sweden traded up ultimates previously in that fight so well. CKM is finally going to swap over that Genji, but the Junkrat after the Rip Tire wasn't doing him any favors. He used so many ultimates to kill Monatan's pilot Diva, and despite Custa's incredible mechanical moment there against Tvik, it wasn't enough. Sweden trades up so well here with Reinforced leading the charge, and they're going to switch Tvik over to Tracer for this contest.
All right, dive back in onto the point. Punk instantly going to be burst out of that mech. Sweden is pushing forward. Transcendence now going to be coming out from the side of Custa. Everybody else hopped up, and Punk makes his way back into the back, and this is going to be a nice fight here for Australia already, with 3 members effectively gone on the side of Sweden. And Reinforced both going to be going down. Got to do the vocal warm-ups at the start of the day.
You got to do those.
Ones. You know, the Human Torch was denied a bank loan. How now, Brown Cow, all those ones from Anchorman, whatnot. But Sweden will be halted, but they still have 2.5 minutes, and they're just in front of point B.
They have this EMP, and they can try to use the EMP into a bomb here from Manhattan. But otherwise, it's going to be a fight that's won through sustainability, through their support ultimates they're holding right now. So Reinforce is going to have to be probably the carry, but Huss is looking to intercept.
Wrapping around the back, EMP ready to roll. Transcendent's going to be coming out from the side of Ludi, and now EMP tossed in. They're going to spray away and Punk and knock him out of that mech, but so far unable to do so. Keeping him sustained. Bomb tossed in by Mannequin. We'll find the pop out now. That baby diva. Klista will also fall at the same time. Sweden straight back in onto the cart now. Dragonblade coming through. He's already being focused so very low. The charge board comes in and Mannequin just cuts him down. Ludi will be lost to Vic in the exchange as well. Cart still halted here for the moment, but Trill falling and get it rolling into the station.
Yep, they do get it through there. Really unfortunate they used that Dragonblade with CKM. Just wants to counter to Vic's Tracer, so it was going to be making the swap right afterwards. Australia buying some time here, but it's terrifying now to see Sweden barreling down towards this capture. 3 minutes in the bank compared to their overtime completion. They need to buy time here. It's going to take a lot of trading up on ultimates, and Sweden does exactly what they should here. It's just look for big ult combos. This Goats comp builds ultimates faster than anything else just to capture a point. So it's the most efficient way to get this to make sure they have a time bank.
Oh. Despite all of Manhattan's spraying, has not been able to spot out Huss. Trying to pop him out of that stealth, so he's still hovering around the back. Doesn't have the EMP yet. Throwing down that translocator. Might be looking to try to get a one clip here onto Chips.
That's the idea.
See if he can pull it off. Ludi is nearby, could respond fairly quickly. Some things up here, Australia, going for the Diva Bomb. Bubbles up, so Sharp stays alive, but Chips cannot be said for him. CKM rockets down onto Reinforce. He's got nowhere to go. He'll just get taken out here momentarily. Punk able to finish him off. Primal Rage used by Trill goes in a little bit deep. So they hold him off, they gain control of the cards.
I really like how Australia decides to commit to these fights, though, because they are getting a single pick and then going in, meaning that Reinforce and Sharp, despite the fact that these two heroes normally build ults so quickly, are only at about half of that ult charge needed. So Australia is being very time efficient with how they are getting these kills. Now Huss has the EMP. This is something they can commit to further.
Oh, okay. It just swings the hammer. Hey, I know you're there. Huss has to jump back. He's still going to be healthy at the moment. That comes down to Vic, swinging away wildly, hoping for a target to come into range. One in the meantime, going to be burned down at the neck. Reinforce is traded out. There's no res available in this competition for Sweden.
Hey, really nice stuff to suck.
Bomb thrown down. Madison not going to find a pick off. Makes his way back in. Reinforce is now respawning, going to be rejoining with the rest of the squad.
Okay, grabs up.
Burned down. Madison finds another one. Hub's going to be eliminated. No DPS available here for Australia. And now Hub's out of the pick. There's no reses either. Jumps here onto the Carpet Trail. He'll get taken down now onto Punk and try to keep him alive. The Kraken's on the side, but the thing goes forward, stuns him up, takes him down. The Carpet gets ready to roll through. Shatter gonna pump in. Huss is gonna die. Barrier comes in, but CKM's not gonna be able to get a damn thing. 0.16 meters left to go as Drill swaps over onto the Hammond, trying to keep this in contention. He is getting burned down, and that's going to be the completion coming through for Sweden.
Very safe play here from Team Sweden to get that secured kill. The single Earth Shatter onto Huss. Impressive stuff there to get solo takedown, and that's basically what guaranteed them the point. They could put focus on the respawning members one at a time right afterwards. But it's Australia's defense now that is going to have to be, you know, really solid, or else this is going to be a tough map for them to take a further lead in this series. And Sweden, only at the end did they go back to what's comfortable, and they did it with an advantage time bank, knowing that, hey, as long as we capture this before overtime, we're pretty much guaranteed to be in a great spot. And that's precisely what they were able to do.
Well, a minute 49 for Sweden on their attack, a minute for Australia as they get ready to kick us off in these OT rounds. And taking a look right now, Sweden looking to be running this Reinhardt here. So changing things up, not trying to do the same thing twice.
When you know that you've had a great defense with Sharp's Widow, and you feel like defense is going to be your strength, just generally speaking, and you have the better time bank, I think what Sweden is hoping for is, even if they only get completion to get 2 ticks, something like that, maybe just cap and then get halted after they use their ult combo. That's the goal here. Then you full hold Australia with the great successful defense you had already, because they have less time bank. So I like this. Very easy to build up ultimates with what Sweden is running. It's not full goats, but it's very close.
Let's see how it's going to fare here. The defensive end of things, still starting to poke forward around this choke point here. Not spotting anybody playing forward. I'm just going to be sprinting around, trying to spot out the enemy team.
Australia doesn't have a lot of time to build a Dragonblade. It's a very risky comp they're running. In fact, they're going to swap, and this cost them half of their entire time
Yeah,
bank.
already 30 seconds are gone.
And they weren't even up against, you know, a Widow here. So it's rough, man.
Rockets coming down. Weakens chips just a little bit here. Hampton poking forward. 20 seconds in. As Australia makes their way onto the point. Reinforced trying to play forward. Keeping that one in contention. Manathan goes up into the skies. Trying to run down CKM. Get that kill, but so far unable to do so. Tavik plays forward. Get taken down. CKM in that rocket in the back of the skull. Goes ahead and eliminates him. Now it's going to be Liddy. Now it's going to be Reinforced. CKM going to carry Australia to this point. A capture. Manathan's going to get popped out of the mech. Finishes off the Baby Diva. They're in one-tick game. And Sweden, oh dear,
and there's
this has gone awry.
There's a reason why the Farah is called a counter to this composition. Just fly over the barriers. There's no Zarya here. There's no sustainable damage for Sweden. If the rockets start to come through consistently, then Australia is able to take this point. They had so little time to do it. Now they're going to have to stick to this like glue.
I mean, you entirely need Sharp to get a hack onto either the Mercy or the Farah. Take them out of the sky. If they can't hover any longer, that's when you can eliminate it. But that didn't happen, so he was just free range up in the air the entire time.
I love how aggressively far forward they're playing here as well. Just pushing this cart. They're looking for maximum distance. They know if they lose one team fight, it's all over. So just trying to gatekeep Sweden out. Sharp looking for the flank here with the EMP. He's right behind.
Yep. Huss is doing it just the same. EMP is going to be coming down. Huss now has his available. CKM holding onto that barrage. First one to fall. Coalescent Stonian here by Jim, trying to keep everybody topped up. Now burning away at Punk's mech, but so far not going to be finding it. CKM is his way back up into the air. Been used by Huss. How many kills coming through? Liddy now going to be falling. The barrage comes down. Look at the hit. The Vic will get taken down. And Matrix mitigating a bit more the remainder of that barrage. Shadow's going to be tossed out by Reinforced as they look to go ahead and close this one out. OT bar starting to plummet. Manathan knocks Punk out of the mech with his self-destruct. Australia still playing forward. Huss now going to be dead. Sleep comes in on a Reinforced. He's down to half HP, but they cannot finish him off. Drill into the back. Just get rid of the enemy Sombra. Now it's going to be another Coalescence coming in, but Drill just Goomba stomps Liddy, taking him out of the fight, and now Reinforced goes down as well.
Insanely
Mark's
bad
going to
for
keep moving
Sweden.
forward. Chips to the back, burns down Krista, but that's about as good as it gets because Drill is just taking names left and right.
They're rolling this in. He's just doing so much with this Farah pick. Sweden needs to respond. They cannot just run this Reinforce Reinhardt repeatedly here. Someone has to knock this Farah out of the sky. And if they just continue to run this, they're going to have a problem. Tabik might even want to just go over to the McCree. Oh, now they're going to be switching over to something completely different. Anti-dive here. But this is so bad. Australia's pushing for free right now while they're trying to figure out their composition.
Oh boy, Huss waiting up top here. Translocator already
And he's got
down.
this pair with the barrage.
Just
He's
waiting.
waiting for that barrage to finish.
Look how close they are. Just a couple meters away. Now he's going to get spotted out. Jumps back. Use the EMP, but holds that. Now the barrage is going to be ready here for CKM. EMP coming out from Sharp, pushing forward. Falls low. Liddy's going to get eliminated. CKM finds the hits with the barrage. Taking one down. Looking for more. They get the cap here onto point B. Just out trying to roll this one through, trying to take this one even further and really seal the deal against Sweden with these kills coming through. It looks like they're really going to do it. We've already discussed this. The problem for Sweden if they lose on this map pick.
Yeah, this is such a crazy thing that we're watching. Sweden's just not willing to run any long-range hit scan to deal with this Farah. The closest thing they've got, realistically, is chips on the Ana, and I guess you could argue
They're finally doing it.
Sharp's gonna do it, but it's too late. It is too late, Achilles.
I mean,
this is insane, and now they are, now they see Gabby just hide out of line of sight.
Playing up top, looking for the hits there, gets one rocket in onto the Vic. Trill falls low, pops the primal range off screen to stay alive in the mix. Just keep that cart rolling. Reinforce manages to find Gustav, but the Vic will go down. Trill, the primal, takes him out. Reinforce, the rocket's gonna connect. Manathan nearly getting that direct hit. Punk with his bomb manages to get rid of the Baby Diva. He can make it back into his mech. Now it's gonna be a sound barrier out from Liddy, but Chips is already gonna be dead. He's the sole recipient of that shield. And the cart's right here, and Australia has done it. OT from point A, roll it all the way to the end of King's Row.
And need I remind you, it was not even a full minute. They swapped comms and had 30
They had 30 seconds.
They had 30 seconds. It was the Farah pick that Sweden never responded to. They felt confident that their comp would eventually trade up on the ground, and then they would have, say, a 6v4 or maybe a 6v3 where the Farah damage is negligible. It just never happened that way, and because they kept trying to force essentially a square composition into a round hole, it did not work. I mean, CKM just ends up being the carry here, totally controlling this map, and I can't give Sweden credit for what they tried to do because it just totally fell on its face and it continued to. mind you, it's stressful, and you start to lose control of, I think, sometimes your momentum and the team morale when you're starting to lose every single fight. It's like, oh god, we can't even get them off the point one time. And if you swap heroes, you're going to lose ult charge, but the swap of Sharp onto the Widow needed to be done much earlier. It needed to be at the beginning of the Streets phase, or perhaps putting Tvix or him onto a McCree, for example, could have been a great way, but it just, I mean, Sweden will have to do something as impressive.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to out-push Australia. Like, they have to match them. But even then, just be that double OT coming through 6 to 6 points.
Okay, they're going to run a big dive on this Genji. And they have, you know, potential nano blades to open up this point. Australia's running the more common Orisa Junkrat anti-dive setup here. Points controlled by the tanks on the ground, so they're going to have to commit to a fight.
And the drop down's coming through. CKM getting jumped out a little bit here, but Drill's going to be healthy. Kusta, however, gets jumped on and eliminated to Vic. Very swiftly picking up that kill onto the enemy's Zenyatta, and he'll get topped back up. Us gets rid of Sharp, gets rid of the Sombra, delaying that EMP coming up in the back end here against the Widowmaker. Tavik now going to be piled on, and he'll get taken down. The poison trap actually finishing him off as Huss dies to reinforce. This is still going to be Australia holding the point for now.
And Australia's, you know, they have a nice setup here. They didn't build that much of a Rip Tire, although, as I said, CCAM does build a few more charge points, up to 69 now. And the Nano Blade can be shut down by that ultimate if it's used correctly, but he doesn't have it yet. That's a big problem.
Huss is dead. Res was already used to put it back into the mix last time out. Now Fuel going to go down, and a boost in on the reinforce. Rip Tire getting ready to roll through, waiting for an opportunity. Pushes it in now. Looking for a target, but just going to get burned down. Sharp able to spray it. And now, still Sweden operating in onto the point. Primal Rage going to get popped. Reinforce goes forward, gets to the Kraken. Looking like a capped point A for Sweden, but again,
now
they have to go the distance.
Yeah, now it begins. They will have to do the same thing Australia was able to do, but I don't know if Australia will just simply play a bad matchup composition against what Sweden is running. It will be, of course, Sweden holding on to this blade as they push forward. Australia running the Pharah, and, you know, the Pharah does not counter this composition from Sweden directly. I mean, sure, there's no direct long-range hit scan, but Genji can dive this, and it's a lot more burst damage what Sweden is running. But it's a very terrifying moment now for Reinforce, I think in particular, who has no ult charge to stick to this point.
Sharp wrapping around, spotting out everything. We'll throw down that EMP as they get ready to push forward. Tvik not drawing out the blade yet, so not going to be able to capitalize on top of that EMP, but Sharp does manage to hound down Kusta and eliminate him. So now no res is going to be in the mix, and Sweden trying to plow forward with this cart. Transcendence coming out here from Ludi, helping to keep everybody alive. Tvik falling low, deflection's going to be up. Ludi loses that Transcendence, goes dangerously low himself, but the shield regen comes through. He stays alive, and the cart keeps moving.
Very conservative ult usage from Sweden, because different from Australia, their push that they got fully to the end of the Foundry was by sticking to the point and taking defensive engagements, whereas Sweden actually has to be aggressive, step off the point with some of their dive, kill someone while leaving the supports on the point, so it's much more difficult, but they're doing it ult efficiently. So Reinforce getting closer to that Primal, which is what they're going to need for contention as we move into C, and they have a Nano Blade available. They may want to use that combo. Here it is.
They toss it in, the blade's going to get pulled out. One swipe in, the reset dash through. Gets rid of Kusta, and also CKM. Pharmacy Comp completely dismantled. Now he's looking for Huss. As the resheath the blade falls down to 50 HP. And this oh boy, 4 HP remaining. He makes his way back over the rest of his squad. Point B game, Sweden. Can they pull this off?
Now this is the hardest part, because remember, they have to dive, kill people, and then go back to the point for pushing. They've used those ultimates now. They don't have a big dive ultimate. Australia has ult advantage, including the Valkyrie and the EMP here. So this is going to be Sweden's toughest push yet. They have the stick that they can use, the Primal Rage, to make sure they maintain control of that card.
They open things up with the EMP Sharp, throwing that one down the bottom for Middleton, finds Trill. Taking him out. A Kraken, however, answers one back, and now the EMP is going to be coming out as they look for Ludi, but they cannot finish him off. Have to jump back with a bomb from Punk. Might just be putting them all in the grave. He gets two. Barrage from the sky. Middleton's going to be popped out of the neck, and Trill rejoins the Primal Rage, and Australia will be able to halt them. Sweden almost pull it off. They almost match the miracle triple push in OT. But they get stopped short, and Australia moves up 2-0 in the series.
I mean, it was miraculous that Sweden was able to push that far. I feel like Sweden's push was in some ways more impressive than Australia's because they were running a comp that was not weaker, in terms of the matchup there. It was not basically countered. They didn't have the counter, whereas Australia did, and they were able to successfully dive several times. And I think if you're Team Sweden, you're probably thinking, well, if we had just stopped them a little bit shorter, had we just switched Sharp over to Widow a little bit earlier, or we had figured out a different counter.
There's so many hindsight, moments here for the squad, and I feel like that's really going to be preying on their minds as they move deeper into this series.
Because, their push was so impressive. I mean, they are diving away from a cart with nano-bladed Genjis and coming back and trying to stick to that and trying to trade up ultimate so much. But unfortunately, on their defense, they just simply would not counter the Pharah. And as a result, Australia walks away with a win on Sweden's best map. So, it's not looking good for the rest of this series, unfortunately, for Sweden. They're going to have to use this halftime to kind of get their heads back into the game. I think it's going to have to be kind of a group talk. They're going to have to do the huddle. They're going to need the huddle.
So, we've already had one series today go to Game 5. Thailand almost able to pull off the reverse sweep. Can we have that twice in one day in a row coming through here? Sweden, can they push us that far? The scary thing is, even if they can keep their hopes alive, pick up a victory on Assault, you know that Australia is going to pick Junker down. That's going to be the escort map that they select. And that is such an arduous task, taking them down on their home soil. I don't know. I'm concerned for Sweden, but this series already, just 2 maps in, is absolutely insane.
It's one of my favorite things in Overwatch when you have 2 teams facing off against each other, have 2 totally different views, 2 different viewpoints on what's stronger in the meta. It's the Reinhardt Zarya, the more tank style, the no hit scan, no counter to Pharah from Sweden. And it's Australia running dive, running the Pharah, just 2 different mindsets completely clashing against each other. And it's so fun to see where those map picks take us and how the games develop. Those 2 overtime pushes were insane.
Well, only time will tell. We still have more series to go, but you and I think we need to take a breather, relax a little bit, decompress. So for now, we're going to go ahead and throw over to the stage for a special presentation.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, it is halftime, and currently Australia is leading this bout 2-0. But it got pretty intense on King's Row right there.
Oh, it was crazy.
That was a close one, and the crowd went wild. And honestly, usually we hear that volume of noise from the audience when Thailand is taking to the stage.
Insane volume.
But somehow, when Australia is on this stage playing, it's equally loud. I feel like their fans make up what they're lacking number by quality of chanting.
They have an amazing chant that we have been hearing a lot here. So we have some prime, authentic, kangaroo-filled Aussies here to lead us in a chant. Quickly break it down for us real quick for the people at home that may not know the chant.
It's literally, we say Aussie, and however many times we say it, you say Oi that many times.
All right, well, that's pretty simple. So let's get this started, shall we? You're going to lead us away. Are we ready?
And everyone, feel free to join in.
Please join along.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! 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 Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
That's a quality chanting right there. More of that. But I have to ask though, where's this coming from? Is there a specific meaning behind that? Also, what means oi?
I think you can talk to any Australian and they'll know what it means, but not where it comes from. But every Australian knows it.
You're just born and you know it. That's
know
how it
it,
happens in
yeah.
Australia.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. We are going to head to a quick break, but there will be more Australia, more chanting, and more Overwatch when we come back.
Brought to you by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. And by Omen by HP, the official PC of the Overwatch World Cup.
Oh, are you
Ready to go to lunch? Yeah, dude, let's do it.
right? But you're riding in the back seat?
Yeah, I mean, why not? It's pretty spacious back here.
Well, sure, but there's plenty of space up front.
Yeah, no, that is true.
So sit up here.
No, I'm good, bro.
You're good. I'm not good with this entire situation. It's like I'm your chauffeur.
A friend who's going to take his other friend to lunch while they both enjoy the wonderful spaciousness of this vehicle.
Yeah. Sure.
Oh, if you don't get us there quickly, by the way, you're not getting 5 stars.
Sir, yes, sir. Right away, sir. Breath mint?
Don't talk to me.
Designed and focused around you, the Toyota CHR. Toyota, Let's go places.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are halfway through this series, and it's looking like it could be a bit of a heartbreaker for Team Sweden and Australia, currently leading 2-0. That King's Row, both teams fighting tooth and nail, but Australia able to come out on top, so they lead the series and now have match point.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, only Sweden's second series of the group stage here in Bangkok, so it's not as if they lose this map, they're
It's not
out
an
for
elimination.
sure. It's not an elimination match, but
It doesn't help.
This is one of the matches I think they looked at thinking this was going to be one of the easier ones for them. They came into this group in a lot of people's minds as big favorites to go to BlizzCon, of course, especially with this roster they've built. Reinforced talking about he's trained so hard, he's been so prepared for this event. But yeah, just having the first map be an unfortunate matchup for them for their comfort, running something a little bit unusual on King's Row, composition weak against Faro there on that defense, cost them big. And, you know, we'll find out shortly what map they are going to take us to for Game 3. But I wonder where their minds are right now, where their heads are after that tough loss.
Yeah, I'm wondering what it's going to be. And it's going to be Temple of Anubis, actually. Okay, so another one that doesn't really play towards the 3-3 style necessarily.
Yeah, and it looks like
harder
Sweden,
to shoehorn that one in.
Sure, and it feels like Sweden is just trying to, like, push that style out of their they're trying to push away from that style. Their reputation is Reinhardt, Zarya. It's Reinforced we're talking about, right? And so a lot of people think of those two heroes in particular, GOAT's composition, and they ran a lot of it yesterday against China, but today it's been changed up significantly, trying to run something a little bit more flexible, a little bit more meta.
Yeah.
And they're going to be on the defense first here, and they're going to run something standard. The Sharp's Widow has been phenomenal tonight. And if they could deal with Australia's dive, in particular Huss's Sombra, which has been such a challenge for them to defend, but I think this could be a good setup for them. They had a great defensive A on King's Row first round before we went into the extra rounds. So I don't dislike this for Sweden, but it does, as you say, it's a bit surprising, just based on our expectations going into this tournament and what they did yesterday.
And it's kind of the question that we always have to ask, or you and I ask a lot when it comes down to Contenders Korea. Do you go for just always running the thing that you are good at and proven with, or do you try to branch out and surprise teams with something a little bit new?
Yeah.
So far, they're trying some things that are new. And, it's not looked bad. There's definitely some questionable moments and some swaps that came in a bit too late.
Yeah.
But the workings are there. The mechanics are there. It's just the timing that we're seeing so far that is a little bit off.
Certainly, well, Australia's going to try to use Trill's Wrecking Ball to break this point. Very strong against Orisa setups here with the pile driver knockup. The execution's going to have to be crisp. Sweden's ready for this. They've seen it. So the disengage for Sharp and Tvik should be pretty easy. Sleep Dart is what is going to be the most important part of this defense, too.
Yeah, they push forward. Little bit of help. That Poison Trap will be able to finish them off. Already, there's a little time by here for Team Sweden.
Chips is sitting really far back on the point, and he's set up to, when the launch comes through from the grapple, little swing coming through from Wrecking Ball, he's going to look to get that sleep while Trill is midair. Here that comes that grapple.
Yep. Grapple into the back as well for Sharp. For an angle, trying to hunt down Huss. It's a little bit of damage. You can see Sweden going to be hiding back here. Knocked off that mid-ground. Be operating back over towards the point itself. Still going up into the top, uses the pile driver. Getting hit up a little bit here. Tvik just going to be spamming out those nades. Trying to get a break on that Hammond, but Or has not been able to take him down. Medicine pushing up to the top, just kind of scouting out here for the rest of the squad. Rocket's getting a lot of damage in, building up rapidly for that self-destruct Trill. When he clips the wall, he almost gets taken down because of that, but manages to survive.
Punk mitigates almost all of that damage as well, not just from Manitin, but from the Junkrat of Tvik as well. Incredible play by Punk throughout this tournament. Now they've repositioned into an advantageous position.
Haas finding Sharp as he goes on the drop, trying to get onto the low ground. Takes him out. Now he's looking for Tvik and looting. Sitting in that side room. Haas, however, will get left on. Tvik spamming those nades yet again, and doesn't take him out. Moves out onto the Mercy, but Sweden's still going to be maintaining control here as Australia tries to get some percentage building up. And then drops the bomb, comes back down safely, can resuit.
If they had not used Valkyrie, I think Australia would be in an incredible position right now. CKM's going to go ahead and toss out the blade.
Oh yeah, he pulls this one at half HP, but still manages to find Sharp. The minefield now coming down, breaking down that Riptire, completely shutting it out. CKM does eventually fall, but it's a team wipe here. Sweden completely crumble by a little bit of time, but it's still going to be nearly 6 minutes on the clock for Australia.
Australia, I think, with a bit of a sloppy engage there, and they use the minefield to create chaos, and CKM just seems... CKM basically just seems to be the god of dealing with incredibly difficult and chaotic situations. The more complex and more complicated the team fight is, it seems like he's always coming up big. He's going to swap over to the Brigida now. But yeah, very well played at the end of the day here for Australia. Tvik will swap over to the Doomfist here. I don't know if this will be long-term. It's very strong against the Wrecking Ball, but not as much against what Australia's running now.
Well, it's already gone, so drills back over onto that bread and butter Winston that's been so good for him. Tvik has to get the heck out of dodge, however. Rocket jumping into the back line, try to stay alive. Plus, just taking a nap. Wake me up when we're ready to go for the team fight here, guys.
Australia will be shoved back here, just trading up ultimates, getting an eco push, as it's called, with this. Tvik sticks with the Doomfist. He wants to run this for long-term sustainability in the fights on B. You get the shielding. Has the Nano.
Yeah, Nano goes in for the seismic slam, looking for the punch target. Gets a Kraken. It's actually aiming for CKM, but I think the Zenyatta just happened to kind of glide right in front of his fist here. And Punk will get taken out of that mech in the end, so good time by as they go for the stagger onto the Baby Diva. And Manitin will be able to go ahead and pick that up.
And with Nano Boost giving Tvik more survivability to go into that fight, he is then able to build shields. And that's why this is so ult efficient, because they use one ultimate to basically shove Australia back. And then now Tvik has more survivability because he's built a Meteor Strike, which he can use to escape and trade an escape into a kill. So Sweden just being very efficient with this.
EMP coming down. Sweden looking to take the fight to Australia yet again. They will be able to do so. 2 swift kills picked up.
And once
that much more time bought.
Once again, one ultimate, one push delayed. You just continue to do this.
But at the same time, a tick was gained for Australia.
True. But if you continue to do this, you know, and obviously hopefully avoid getting those ticks through, then you're always going to have an ult advantage on B. You're going to have the faster respawn. It's very difficult for Australia to turn things until they get that EMP. Us is so close to building that up right now. As you can see the setup here, splitting the tanks, reinforce up at the front.
Jump up to the top here, reinforce. Primal Rage is ready to go. He's just zapping him back, trying to dissuade, and also get some extra healing in for his supports to build up their ultimates. We're on the right side. We're going to hear that Primal going to get popped by Reinforce. He's going to be dead. Sleep connecting onto him. Primal Rage just going to be burning away. Massive opening now for Australia. Already going to be starting off with that 33%. Drills into the back. He's got both supports operating over here. Back towards the spawn room, keeping them busy. EMP now going to get dropped in by Huss. Bionade in, Ludi's gonna fall, Reinforce dead. The deck goes up with a Meteor Strike. He's looking for an angle, he's looking for a target. He'll be able to get rid of that Ana, but instantly gets sunned up and taken down.
I think he needs more than that. I don't know if that's enough.
Now 98% just about here, built up for Australia. Still very healthy in onto the point as the rally comes down from CKM. Jump into the back. The Struck gonna be tossed out. Looking for the pick, and Puck is gonna find 3, delivering the cap.
Very well played here, hitting that in the midst of Australia's chaos. They also all committed into the fight because because Tavik was able to toss out that EMP. And honestly, I feel like the way they were trying to operate that fight with one ult, one defense was going really well until Reinforce got slept when he was using the Primal Rage, because that meant that they needed to use more ultimates. The fight started to flip away from them. As well as...
Yeah, to try to drag it back in.
Yeah, and right before that, we had the attempt of Tavik to get the Mega Pack with the Doomfist. He was so low, and he had the Meteor Strike, and he was reliant on that Mega Pack, died before he got it. He used the Doomfist in that more desperate fight where the point was already basically captured. But it was those 2 moments, I think, that gave Australia the opening there. And the big self-destruct for Punk in all that chaos, where it was, excuse me, I said Tavik earlier, I meant to say Sharp, who tossed out the EMP. Where Sweden, you see, you've got the EMP up. You've got to get on that point there at 98%. You all rush in, but you're not set up to deal with that self-destruct that was pre-placed by Punk. So great time bank here for Australia, despite the first 2 pushes being a little bit slower there on A.
Yeah, I mean, they took their time. It was a bit more of a patient play. 245, we've obviously seen much higher time banks, but this is still a very healthy one should they get taken to OT rounds. So a good amount to work with here. Sweden, we'll see what they're going to be doing on the attack.
Yep. So Huss yesterday on this very point with the Widow played very aggressively. In fact, operated mostly on the lower ground and the ledge that's just below this one, and was then grappling up against how Sweden's been playing today with Tavik on this Genji. I don't know if it'll be as easy to make that work, so he is sticking up with Theorisa for now.
Punk just spotting here as Huss takes a look, trying to find somebody. Gets a shot in onto Tavik, picking him down to about half HP.
Yep, really unique setup there for the Junkrat defense for CKM.
Yep, they're waiting for that wraparound.
Yep.
Expecting
this.
He makes his way out of there, but Huss to spot him.
His trap was well placed.
Pack was there.
Yeah, his trap was well placed, so he knew exactly where he was coming from.
But now they have to turn their attention to the front because the tanks are diving through. A little bit of damage in onto the Winston. He'll get bopped up into the air. Reinforce falling down below half HP. Huss going to be cutting over to the opposite side, looking for an angle. Dive coming in, gets that tag into the head. Reinforce falling low. Now just going to be spraying away with the machine gun into Manatan. Pops his head back over the ledge and finds Ludwig taking him down. No more Lucio in the mix here for Sweden. They're still pushing through. They nearly have that second tick. Now going to be gaining it as Reinforce falls.
Looking really good for the defense of Australia now as Sweden's full comp is shut down. Tavik just trying to toss in some left clicks on his way out to build up that blade. Manatan escapes being staggered. That would have been a disaster.
Look at this guy. He's so aggressive. Knows that he has the HP advantage. Knows that Tavik is desperately trying to cut his way out. Goes forward, but cannot get the kill. Would have been a nice little extra stagger. Well, instead, Tavik going to get a little bit of ult charge over to Chips, and now has that blade ready to go, but no mana boost to couple with it.
Yeah, Tavik got the blade through that extra aggressive play, which sometimes can be a liability, but in this case, because he lives, is great. This is the important push for Sweden. This is where they need to get in there.
Tire's online, though.
Yes. The Tire could shut this down completely.
Playing around the side, pushes in, and he's going to get 2. Lucio, Genji, falling right off the bat. And that is just going to be the halted push coming through. So still, Sweden in an all-right position. They have those 2 ticks. So we'll be starting.
The most important thing for Sweden now is, because they held onto that blade, is to coordinate a push with Reinforce and Devik specifically. Mountain will be involved as well, where they kill Brigida and then pull the blade, or blade to help blow Brigida up before the stun can come through. That's how Devik's going to have his best blade possible. Nice mine here, though.
Reinforce! Almost going down now. It's going to be the Primal into the back, trying to deal with Huss. Double back up over to the top. And it's a little bit of damage. It's going to be that self-destruct toss straight down in onto the point. Devik gets caught up in the blast. He's going to be gone. The blade still held, so doesn't lose the ultimate at least. But that's
a huge stagger.
That's me trying to spare their blushes. That's a big stagger. As you say, the clock is draining down.
And he just thought he had the second jump was going to get him over that wall there. You could just see it wasn't even in his thoughts there. And he was just suddenly, oh my god, I missed my jump. I am dead. You know, that's the kind of thing that almost never happens at this level of play. But Sweden's obviously mentality-wise not in the greatest place. Visor here going to give Devik his positioning away.
CKM getting taken down as the Nano Blade comes out. Devik taking a bit of damage. Running up towards the top. Gildeneye comes in, but Custer's still going to be dead. Huss on the sidelines, manages to get rid of the Genji. They're getting their losses as best as possible, but Liddy goes forward, gets rid of Trill. The front line getting shattered here as Punk gets knocked out of his mech. Liddy pushing in, right click comes through. They try to go ahead and just finish off Huss, and they will be able to do so with the help of the Diva. Stun coming in, Kraken just trying to stay alive, trying to buy some extra time away from Team Sweden, but they will be getting the cap. 4:42 on the clock. Let's see how the defense is going to be here on point B for Australia and what they're going to change up.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see Devik try to run this Reaper follow-up. It's always been a common strategy to run Reaper on B because you get so much ult charge from the tanks that buy time, and you break them down and build a massive time make if the first push works. Also, the EMP combo with Death Blossom is incredibly powerful, so that's one thing they could look for.
Tesla getting jumped on, needs that armor pack. Kraken helping to keep him topped up. Also building up towards that rally. CKM going to get taken down off screen. And Sharp has that EMP online. Still moving forward, finds chips now. Liddy's going to be dead. No supports available, no Reaper as well. Only builds up a third just about for that Death Blossom.
Now he can get away with getting 30% on this one, but if he doesn't swap and he ends up with 60% after the second one, then suddenly you really need to just get off the Reaper, because if the first Death Blossom doesn't work or only gets you one tick, then you've lost your time bank advantage that they had.
Yeah.
So this needs to be a push that does a little bit better. EMP might be worth using just to build Death Blossom percentage, because EMP builds much faster. It's much easier to farm that.
Sharp waiting for an opportunity here, pushing forward, throws down the EMP, catches a couple people here on the side of Australia. Trill gonna get taken down right off the start. Devik looking for a target, just about at that 60% mark. Punk is way off on the sidelines, not in onto the point. The Nanobu's gonna be coming down, tosses out, that self-destruct. Devik goes into the raid form, this time, makes his way over to the side. Still spraying away, trying to build up for that Death Blossom desperately. Punk trades one back. Sweden only down the Lucio at the moment, but Chips falls low.
This is the
has
jump.
the Death Blossom ready to go. Punk's going to be taken down. The Rival Rage going to be slept under the bridge here as the second ticket's ready to come in. Bill's going to be rejoined in onto the point. Sweden moving up. EMP coming down. Huss tosses that one out to Vic. Trying to stay alive, 6 HP, but CKM comes through with the Dragon Blade, picks up 2 as Reinforced falls, and Manton is knocked out of the mech.
They lose their time bank here advantage. Australia will have the better time, but the way they executed that is actually just a showcasing of what Reaper is capable of. This is another stagger that's going to be very painful. But that shows you what Reaper is capable of when given a nano boost, when given all that extra support. But it was the hack, the EMP, that eventually ended his life because he could not escape the damage. He holds the Blossom now. You can't swap here, but Sharp is just a few percentage points away from that EMP, so there's no combo. Australia's going out for the chase.
Oh man, just pushing so far forward. The Death Blossom gets blown into Mick, goes down. CKM picks up the kill off the backup chips dying. Trill, again, just hopping on heads one after the other, carrying Australia to victory.
I love how they did this, because in a more open area like that, when you go out for the fight, Devik isn't going to be able to do as much damage with his Death Blossom. He was focused. Australia knew that Sweden was setting up for a big push that way, and they needed to farm, of course, EMP. So they brought the fight to Sweden to make sure that couldn't happen. Devik now is going to stick with the Reaper, so this is insanely risky for Sweden. They're trying to force this to work. Easier said than done when you only have 12%.
Get up the Mega Pack, Devik going to be nano boosted up, just spraying away wildly, trying to find one, but another one as Trill hops in. The right click from Kusa, taking down the Reaper. Reinforced going to die. Sharp looking to go down off the back end of this, as is Manhattan with the mech. Ludi escaping with his life, does have the sound barrier up, but we are down to 1:25, ladies and gentlemen. Sweden desperately need to get this finish.
And we've seen what Reaper could do with the nano boost, and obviously what Death Blossom is capable of throughout years of meta in Overwatch, but when you have no boost and no Blossom, but you have the EMP, you're still missing 2 parts of the bigger triangle here, right? And so EMP could lead to Reinforce getting an opening pick. They could get the point that way if they trade up longer, but it's going to be so tough.
Again, Australia pushing forward. The blade comes out, and CKM just gets up, and now he's going to be woken up. Has a couple more seconds on this one, but the Vic manages to open things up by taking down Trill, and Huss will fall at the same time. Vic pushes forward. Another one going to be dead as the Kraken will fall. Looking for a target. CKM dashing through. Punk so very weak here in the mech. The Reaper just rips it to pieces. Self-destruct going to get thrown down. Goes into the raid form. Now going to wait for Custa. Shotgun to the base. He'll go down. But Sweden, can they get this completion with time in the bank, or can Australia drag this out long enough to force the OT? If not, just hold them off completely. The
Nano Boost.
Nano Boost coming in. Now has the Death Blossom. Picks up 2 kills. House going to be dead. Rejoining up. Gets stunned up. Drops down to the low ground. Now pushing back up. Death Blossom's going to be thrown in. Costa goes low. The move comes in, and he will be able to stay alive. It's down to 66 HP. Rate form coming in yet again, trying to escape. Both Divas going to get popped out of the mech, and the Primal Rage is here for Reinforces. He gets stunned up, and Trill finds 2 kills. Ludi and Edson both going to get eliminated as he swaps over onto the Ham, and Reinforce getting burnt down will fall. And Australia really trying to put them in the grave here. Confirm the victory in this series with the 3-1 as they look to close out over Sweden here on Temple of Anubis.
And that's it. Australia will take the series with a 3 victories in a row set. We will have that 4th map, but the series is theirs. And the question a lot of people asked is China, going to just dominate this entire tournament? The answer so far has been no. Thailand did bring them to a 5th map, but still people were looking at China as the team that gets out of this group stage no matter what. After that, everything was up in the air, but these were the 2 names that came up most, of course, globally, in the Overwatch fan community. The people have been watching Overwatch World Cup for the last 3 years. And Australia just comes up much bigger tonight. They take the match. We're going to have that 4th map, which will, of course, be very important for seeding. And this is, again, Sweden's only 2nd map of the group stage yet. But unfortunately for Sweden, man, they just have not been able to find this adaptability. I appreciate that they're putting Reinforce on a lot of Winston. He's been, clearly practicing that and moving away from his past and his old comforts. But some of the things they've done, like not swapping against the Pharah push on King's Row, continuing to run this Reaper without being willing to change after they lost so much time, these are the small decisions that are costing Sweden big. And it's the big picture I think they're missing out on. Whereas Australia's coordination looks as good as ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stubbornness is kind of the term, I guess, that comes to mind. Is just they have the ability to swap, but it just takes them so long to do so. They don't really, we're watching on a wider perspective here. We see everything that's going on. These guys have the pressure of playing, but sometimes you just have to realize, like, okay, you know what? I burned the Death Blossom. It didn't really work out. I need to do something else. I need to try to change it up, go to something a little bit different. But unfortunately, it has not worked out for them, so it will be another lost series for Team Sweden. But they have the ability to try to drag a map back in, get that 1-3 loss. If they can pick up a win here on Rialto, will be their final map pick of this series.
That's right, and it's got to be Reinforce on the Reinhardt here. Of all things, if they're picking this map, which is also a fantastic map for Pharah because of the proclivity of GOATs and Reinhardt-oriented compositions in 2018, in this meta. So it's a risky pick in some regards because of CKM's incredible Pharah. So let's see how Sweden manages this, because when we talk about mentality, you've got a roster that comes in as big representatives of Sweden, right? They represent their country. Historically a very strong country in esports. We've got Reinforce, who retired as a pro for a while. He's been an analyst in Overwatch League. He's returned as a pro gamer for this event. So a lot of pressure on this player. Cares about the game a lot, cares about his reputation. And you've lost 2 maps in frustrating fashion. The Pharah that destroyed you on King's Row, the failed Reaper on Anubis. Your mentality's got to be pretty shaken in a moment like this.
And we see this. Sorry.
I was just saying, the final thing is they are going to run to Vic on this older school Roadhog here now. So quad tank.
They're going to try to spawn camp them.
Yep.
We saw this debuted by Finland.
That's right.
Versus South Korea. So they're going to go ahead and try their hand at this again.
The Scandinavian special, maybe we should call it.
So we'll see if this is going to fare well for them, or if it's going to be farewell for them.
Well, they lose the series either way, but picking up that point is going to be so important as we get into our final day tomorrow to determine standings and who is going to BlizzCon. So this match matters a ton.
Playing straight up here into the front, the Wrecking Ball coming up. Top flank.
Trill could just wait here.
Yep, he's just waiting. Husk gets the hack in onto the Vic. Bubble's going to be coming down. Pile driver in. Rockets out. CKM getting so much damage in as he builds up already a third of the way to that barrage.
We saw this very similar situation with Libero on the Fara. It's Finland versus South Korea.
That's one dead. Ludi already going to be falling. Manhattan nearly having that mech broken. Doesn't have much left as far as that defense matrix is concerned. And now he's going to be going for a bit of a swim as he gets taken off the side of the map.
But this has been seen before. And it's been now dealt with the same way South Korea dealt with it in Incheon when Finland ran it. And it ends up being just a really unfortunate start here for Sweden. Massive ult advantage for Australia, including that barrage, the EMP, that pairing that has been the bane of Sweden in this series. And what a rough start. They'll put Reinforce onto the Winston. Tavik onto Tracer now. Just hoping to get some backline picks on a map where Tracer can roam a little bit more. Need to track Husk because he can set up that barrage combo so easily.
Yep. Ran away. He's not even in invisibility. You know, he's just like, okay, this is fine. Gonna be sitting out here in the front. Reinforce jumps forward all on his lonesome. Will get taken down. Oh boy. EMP gonna be dropped in. Shibzion gonna be falling off the bat. CKM does get taken out. As this is an absolute bloodbath coming through. Tavik picking up 2 there right at the end. Ran away, goes low, has the recall, keeps himself alive. Trying to knock down these tanks. Punk will get taken out of the mech. But not before Trill can do the same to Manhattan. The cart will be halted here. Sweden can stabilize.
Yeah, the backbone of the comp of Australia starts to fall apart. Trill may want to consider making the swap over to the Winston here because against a Tracer in particular, you're going to have a lot of problems with surviving as the Wrecking Ball once your adaptive shield runs out. But he's been pocketed really well here by Costa. Wants to keep it going for now. It's one way you can control these choke points with the mines, and you can drop down, as you can see he continuously does.
Barrage ready to go. Moves up right into the front. The Sleep Dart now going to be connecting. The bomb comes up. CKM will be going down. Manhattan finding that one hit. They lose out on the reinforcement. Tavik is trying to go ahead and even the playing field. He knocks Plunk out of that mech with a pulse bomb. Going forward is Trill with the Hammond. So far still very healthy. Dashing over to the side. Tavik takes a couple shots and will be going down. And that's going to be a completion onto A for Australia. Bumping up that time bank now to 4 minutes.
And this is the hardest take right here against what Sweden was running. And both times CKM tried to set up for the barrage. He was slapped by chips. And even with an initial pick there the first time and the second time denying the barrage, Sweden wasn't able to take the fight. CKM is easily able to just switch over to the Brigitte right afterwards after using that ultimate. Fara is less useful against what Sweden is running. Sweden has an EMP, but not much follow-up yet because Tavik just switched over to the Genji. There's not really a big combo they can utilize, whereas Husk has a lot more he can do.
Well, one EMP coming out, Chips. Get a lot of damage here from behind. Dropping down is Husk looking for the finish, and he manages to get it. Now has the EMP online for the continuation of this push. Reinforced also going to get taken out. The hack comes down on the Manhattan. He'll get knocked out of the mech and eliminated as he goes off the side. And this is just going to be the cart still rolling forward here for Australia. 45 seconds down at the moment from when they got the cap on to B.
Husk is like the invisible man. You know, he's the guy that you don't see until he's killing you, until he's hacking you, or suddenly you realize where he is when your entire team has been EMP'd. They need to do a better job of tracking this player who's so crafty, who's so sneaky. Again, avoids Reinforce's notice here and sneaks behind him because he's running the Rhine. You know, just sometimes don't see that. He's just constantly able to set up incredible EMPs because they cannot track his positioning. They don't know where he is. And he's looking for everyone to group up here so they can hard engage with this. They have a self-destruct combo.
See, already a bit of damage going through onto Chips. Going to be tossing down that EMP. The sound barrier is there from Liddy. Helps keep everybody on Team Sweden nice and alive. Reinforced, however, as I say that, will get taken down. To burn right through it. Now it's going to be Manhattan focused out yet again. Does not want to use that self-destruct. Knows that he is going to need it and that he would not be making it back into the mech. Just holds on to it, but giving up so much space here to Australia, nearly rolling into point B now.
And now Sweden has, you know, at least the self-destruct to try to work with an EMP, but they would have loved to have these just 10 seconds earlier. They would have loved to have that to contest the point these important ultimates it takes them so long to build while they're losing these fights or just coming in too late. Reinforce still only halfway to a shatter.
Oh, Sharp's gonna get spotted out, throws down that EMP, catches, I believe, 2 here. Falls down to about half HP and has to jump back, and there's not really much follow-up onto Australia because they have the sound barrier. Keep everybody nice and topped up. Vic swinging away, just gets the rally online as he goes down. Punk runs him into the ground as they try to keep that cart rolling. Goodbye, good night.
Wasted the nano. He was nanoed. It's totally worthless here. Knocked off the side. And the explosion there from the Diva Bomb from Mount hits no one after EMP. So all ultimates wasted for Sweden. Not a single one remains but Rally, which will, of course, give them armor to approach and try to build those ultimates. But it just feels like stagger after stagger, loss after loss. Australia has the momentum in their favor right now. They are trading up ultimates. They're trading more efficiently, meaning Sweden is using more ultimates than Australia is using to deny them in these team fights. A rally is used here.
He's in the back. People grouped up here for him. EMP nearly online. Hack's going to be down. No shield here for Reinforce, but he's going to jump back with the translocator to keep himself alive.
He's got that armor, the extra armor. Chips is going to be so difficult to kill on the Zen now.
Even with the EMP, going to need more than just the Sombra to finish him off. Location over to the side. Drill will get taken down. EMP going to be dropped down. They're looking for the Vig. Bomb not going to be finding anything, but Reinforce still going to die. Scutta picks up that killing blow. Cart halted here at the final corner. 2 minutes remaining on the clock. And falling low. Looks like he will be able to stay alive as Sharp just tries to burn down Custa.
This is the first time Sweden has been able to breathe on this defense from the Scandinavian shenanigans we saw at the first point. The hold attempt there to failed pushes or failed defenses on B because they had ult deficits from those swaps they needed after they were trying to do the quad tank there at A. And for the first time, they can sit back with a slight ult advantage, the EMP advantage here, and positional advantage. So it's going to get a little bit tougher now for Australia for the first time, and Huss is going to, again, just try to find his way to the back line.
Oh, Sharp, yes, this is as good of a moment as any. They go ahead and drop down that EMP, and Trill is going to die right off the start. Now looking for as many staggers as they can possibly get. CKM goes into the water. They halt him, they buy some time off the bank. About a minute remaining here as Australia gets everybody back alive.
You can see what the effect of EMP in terms of ult efficiency, because this one EMP is all they need to shut down the push, and Australia's just still struggling to build ultimates right now.
Us just trying to back cap again.
Yeah, gonna get denied here. Building some charge though off of Maniton. This is a great matchup for
I mean, he is just, he's farming up here. Chip's now gonna be rejoining as he just goes ahead and jumps out.
So Shatter is going to be the next big ultimate here for Sweden to deny the next push.
Rally's online as well. Gonna go ahead and pop that one up as they go for the fight. Shatter's still sitting here for Reinforce. Back in around the side, waiting for an opportunity. Cam over in the side. Pin comes down. Reinforce locks him in, takes him down. Barrier out from Sweden as well. Trying to maintain control. Primal Rage is up for Trill, but he is going to get locked up, stunned up. And now the Shatter comes through. Custa going to get eliminated. Pin this time not going to be connecting onto the Diva, but they can go ahead and pop Punk out all the same. With 14 seconds remaining, it seems like Sweden should just be able to hold on to this defense.
It reinforces Shatter here, almost guarantees no one can tag the point. The only one is CKM. They're trying to stop him from getting in there. He's got 4 seconds to touch that payload. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Huss is here, Huss is here.
Okay, Huss sneaks in.
Yeah, we'll be able to go ahead and tag that one up, and he's got to jump out. Now Trill going to be coming back through with the ham and the pin coming through, taking him for a bit of a ride. Also gets a smattering of damage there on a Huss, but he jumps away from that fire strike. EMP going to be thrown down by Sharp, as the rest of Australia desperately tries to tag in onto the point. They find one opening frag as Punk takes down Liddy. Now Sharp going to be eliminated.
CKM lived!
Gets that. Now he's nearly got a play online. They're going to have to try to shut this one down. Reinforce goes for a pin. He'll get taken down. Punk manages to finish him off. Sleep connecting in onto the Vic. He is going to die to the Rockets here from the Diva. Sweden,
Chips has to counter this blade.
One. They have the Transcendence, and he needs to keep everybody alive.
It's all about Chips right now. He can get Reinforce a Shatter in the longer fight, but it has to be perfectly timed. Here's the blade.
And with the swamp over, Ludi nearly goes down. That's going to be the Nano Blade coming in. It falls dangerously low, but we'll be able to stay alive. Hammer swings coming through. Sleep dart in on a Reinforce. He'll get taken down, but a Kraken's going to be traded out. Chips Lion comes up with the kill. He's burned down. The armor's gone. Costa comes up with another one. 2 for Lucio. Sharp finds CKM, however. Now it's going to be the self-destruct in onto the cart. Not going to be finding any kills. He makes it back into the back end of the hack, comes down. The Victor's going to be swinging away desperately, trying to find something. Sweden just strings in one after the other with these respawns to keep this one in.
Reinforce has a Shatter. He has a Shatter. Here it comes.
Throws it down, locks out a couple members. Swings coming through from the hammer. The fire strike comes out. Trill's going to die. Punk's knocked out. And Costa gets taken down as well. Reinforce swings his way through. The OT bar is going to be plummeting, and they managed to hold him off in front of C. But man, Australia, they almost made it happen again.
2 massive impactful shatters for Reinforce back to back as he steps back into the old shoes of the hero he's most famed for. He's able to defend the push here and save that 3rd point from Australia taking it. It's only halfway over for Sweden, though. They've only been able to prevent full completion. They will themselves, of course, have to make it all the way there in order to take this. We're going to take a look at this EMP into Shatter here. Once again, Sharp setting this up. Reinforce just spikes the ball here, basically, and ends up with a massive 3K. Very well played from the big fan favorite here. And let's see what the plan is now on attack, because there were certainly some worrisome moments for Sweden throughout the Streets phase, but after they got their first big EMP and traded the ultimates efficiently in that moment, they had advantages for the rest of the way. And it's just something I'm trying to highlight in this series is when I say trading ultimates efficiently, I mean sometimes a team is looking for a big fight and 1 EMP wastes 3 of their ultimates. You win the fight and you hold more ultimates afterwards. That's the kind of play that you're always looking for, especially as the team that's down on ultimates, because that's how you catch up. That's how you get back into fights. There's obviously tons of mechanical skill where you can win fights without ultimates at all, but ultimates are so powerful they cannot be ignored, and using EMP, for example, as we saw Sweden do there to really turn things around, is how you're going to get back into a game when you're behind like that. On the attack, they've been avoiding the Pharah. I think they're just going to run this Reinhardt Zarya potentially. I would have to think.
Okay, they're flipping around. Maybe it's going to be the Winston again.
Looks like it.
Sharp showing the Widowmaker, so at least they have that ready to go to deal with CKM's Pharah. He's already trying to spot it out.
Yeah, they're just trying to counter CKM. Knowing CKM would expect the Reinhardt, they do the opposite.
At this point, you expect the Reinhardt, because it's been a lot of Winston from Reinforce today. Sharp going to get dove on. Makes his way back over towards the spawn. We'll be able to stay alive. Bubble goes down. Schultz going to rejoin with the rest of his squad over in the courtyard.
And this time, Sweden will not be countered. This time, they have the answer to the Pharah. As you can see, Sharp is just constantly trying to track his movement. This is not going to be another King's Row scenario. Not this time.
They keep jumping onto Sharp, but they're not getting that much damage, and Trill's still sitting at 30% now for that primal range, so now building that one up very swiftly. CKM back up into the sky, getting some rockets down. Boops Manitin back inside. They'll rejoin onto the low ground with the card.
Yeah, every time they leap in and fail, it means the supports are vulnerable for Australia, and that's what Reinforce has been trying to capitalize on, so it's been costing them big, and now Sharp has full line of sight. This is incredible for Sweden in terms of the time bank for this push towards the first choke point, and there's not a great way to use the ultimates that Australia are trying to build in this choke. Even Barrage is not ready yet, and it's very difficult to find an angle in this little archway.
Well, time to push forward. Cart rolls up right in front of the point. CKM already knocked down to half HP. Troll going to be hacked out. See, it receives that nano boost. Sleep comes down, but he's going to get woken back up. Going to zap away at Chips. Bubble's going to have to come down into the back end. So they trying to finish him off. Pocket out from the Mercy. That's keeping him alive, and now it's going to be EMP to open things up here from Huss. And Manitin will go down. CKM finally on the Rockets. Barrage is going to be dropped in solo. Really seal the deal on that one. He gets a smattering of damage, but it seems like he might just be able to stay alive.
And it all started with just 1 nano boost from a Kraken onto Trill. Opened everything up. Sharp.
Dangerous game there.
Yeah. Will be pocketed up from Ludi, who's now respawn. Give them a little bit more Valkyrie charge. But now Sweden was going to look to do probably the exact mirrored thing, which is nano, of course, onto Reinforce and give him the opportunity to trade up because he knows Trill's already used that combo.
Oh no! The Vic gets spotted. Sleep comes down. Everybody going to be wrapping around to the side. And oh.
That's a nice stagger.
Yeah, that's a really great pickoff. No ult charge gain. Still going to be sitting at around 70% now. That delays it even further.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to simply rely, if they want to make this push the big one, on Reinforce. Oh,
They're
no.
just getting caught out.
He played greedy, and they punished him. They found him. Australia's not going to just sit back. They're going to be aggressive when they see mistakes they can punish. When they see greed, like we saw in Anubis,
exactly.
They're
That's
just
what I was
running
going to mention.
in. And
they are not afraid to push forward.
Reinforce, he hasn't been nanoed yet. They're being really patient because of these staggers, but time is running out.
Down to about a minute now.
Tavik just looking for a backline pick.
Okay, they spotted out everybody. Then coming in, shows himself, building up, trying to get that EMP ready to roll. 7 more percent. Custom's going to be the first one to go down. Kraken as well, going to be
Nano's
dead. No
out.
supports available, and Punk's going to be knocked out of the mech. And honestly, Sweden hold the ultimates. No need to use them. The team wipe comes through. They just get that one clean.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure who ate the Nano there, but they don't need the Primal Rage committed, and they end up getting this EMP they can hold as well. So this was a very close call for Sweden. They can be very thankful that this was such an efficient fight for them, again through mechanical skill in this case. And they end up taking the lead. Australia taking a few risks. The Vic looking for a great opportunity. He's
going to get hacked out, and he's just dead. Stomp coming in from Trill. The backup from Huss. Go ahead and finish him off.
This matchup between Huss and Tavik, or against Sharp, and the occasions he's on it, have not been going well for Sweden.
Snap's coming down. CKM a little bit low. Just trying to build up, play forward, get that Dragon Blade online. Third of the way there. 5 other ultimates here for Australia.
Yeah, Australia is basically holding everything but the blade, and Sweden's being so patient that Australia will also just do the same. Now, Huss is set up for a great EMP here around the backside. I can nullify all these ultimates.
Oh, goes ahead, tosses that one down. Numerous members, and Trill will be falling forward here again. Pushing up. Health pack helps keep Chips alive for a little bit longer. Now it's going to be the Primal Rage coming out as he looks for a target. So far, hasn't really found one. Locks down onto Sharp. Sleep Dart comes in. Somebody woke up the monkey. Oh, no. Not what you wanted to do at all, but seems like it still might be okay. No kills to be found, but some time bought off the bank. Cart still not going to be held here by Sweden yet, but now they're pushing forward.
Yeah, now they're pushing forward here. Punk's hack will just have to go away. Sharp gets a nice opening kill, and this is going to be Sweden's wrapping around this corner, but they've lost so much time.
Oh, Gusta going low. Jump in on a Sharp.
That's actually an incredible
down.
view we got there. That's what it feels like to deal with Huss in this series right now. You're just like, oh my god, there he is.
Yeah, it's a series of jump scares.
Yeah.
And just stuff all up in your face.
Huss has built up close to another EMP. He wants that for the contest. This corner here, Australia's not going to feed ult charge over to Sweden. They're not going to look for a contest until they can pair this blade with that EMP, ideally.
Oh. Trying to go for that shot. Would have been damn impressive if Sharp could have pulled that one off. In the meantime, Tavik and Reinforce going to be falling. This could allow for Australia to regain control over the card. You can see Sweden trying to kite their way out, but he almost falls.
Yeah, this should be the EMP built now for Huss. So this is a terrifying moment for Sweden. Blade EMP and the self-destruct to contest B. Sweden doesn't have
Nano-blade EMP.
Yeah, and Sweden doesn't have a way to EMP their way into shutting that down. They don't have a Transcendence. They don't have a Riptire. This blade is going to be so difficult to stop, and they're not even running Brigida, so how they break this through with 50 seconds left, we're going to have to see if they can make it happen. It's not easy to actually pull that off.
Yeah, trying to go up around the back end. Now looking for the hack there on the Reinforces. He goes pretty deep into the back
Blade.
side. CKM with that Nano Blade comes out, gets rid of Chip Zion. Looking for a little bit more, but has to sheath it. Falls down to about 70 HP.
They didn't use the
will
EMP.
be staying alive. Right click's getting ready to come through, and like you say, they hold on to that ultimate, which can still turn the tide of a fight. Reinforce trying to rejoin, but he is in no man's land.
Reinforce is dead. Tavik holds an EMP.
15 seconds.
And I don't know how they're going to pull this off. Sweden dropping 4 maps. All 4 maps in the series would be a tragedy for them.
Absolutely.
Only tool they've got is the Nano and the EMP. Here comes Huss trying to shut it down.
Going around the back, the EMP's going to come out. Huss cannot use his own yet. Everyone's grouping up for him as they push over towards the cart. He just sneaks his way in, but he gets sucked. But he still manages to go ahead and toss that one out as Punk drops in the bomb, and Reinforce is going to be the one to fall right off the start. Mediton knocked out of the mech. Trill going to be res back into the mix as Australia goes ahead and looks to close this one out with a 4-0. Skirting around the fight here is Lodi, but he will get taken down. Huss picks up 2. Right click's coming down. CKM falls dangerously low. Will get eliminated here by Tavik, but it's just a consolation prize. Australia, they managed to hold him off. They get the 4-0, and Sweden suffer another loss.
A 4-0 victory from Australia. They have looked real coordinated this tournament, and it's all about, I think, the threat of Huss. The backline dive, his ability to stay undetected, hack, build consistent EMPs. Sombra can be the cheat code to break through when you're down on ultimates, could be the way to get backline picks and also set up dive. And Australia just plays around him so well. Not only that, but the Pharah that they've been running so significantly much against a team that has, been reluctant to run the counter long-range hit scan. And it's a tragic tournament here for Team Sweden. 2 losses in a row against 2 of the biggest opponents they would, have to face in this round robin.
Yeah.
It's just, it feels bad when you lose to Australia without taking a single map, and the way they lost, especially Anubis and Kings Row. it's going to get into your head a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, now you have to try to shake that off to push forward to get some wins in these remaining series. Again, it was only the second one, so there's still plenty of games to be played by Sweden to get those wins on the board, but they also have to be hoping that the likes of Australia and China suffer some losses, maybe even some upsets coming through. But guys, let's go ahead, throw over to Zoe on the floor because she's got an interview ready with Custa.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, Australia ending the day on a high note, taking that bout against Sweden. I've Costa joining me for a quick word. Now, Sweden seemed to be slow to adapt, if they actually made any switches at all. Very often, players such as CKM and his Farah kind of had a field trip. Is this something you anticipated heading into this series?
I think it's more the way that the group stages are panning out. You have to be able to play every map, so a lot of teams just have a style of playing. You saw us get caught up by that against Denmark. You know, we didn't really know how to adapt and didn't really have a good adaptation to that. So it's just play style sort of clashing, I think.
So how much preparation actually went into this match against Sweden? You got to watch some of the games yesterday already, I assume. What were your takeaways from those?
Gumba does a lot of the research and does a lot of the background, so we knew that they didn't want to play a lot of Widow if they didn't have to, and they also want to play a lot of Goats. So that really works for us a lot of the time. So fortunately, you know, CKM was doing the work on Farah and we executed really well.
You did indeed. Now, thank you so much for joining me. I'll let you go off and celebrate that victory against Sweden. Thanks a lot for joining. And we're now heading back to our casting duo to break down the action.
Thank you very much. I mean, yeah, got to be feeling very good about that victory. The 4-0, unexpected. Again, we kind of came into this saying this could be another back and forth one, maybe have that fifth map tiebreaker, but Australia said none of that garbage. We're just going to go ahead and close this one out nice and cleanly. But I think still a series to remember.
Costa really hit the nail on the head, you know. They knew that Sweden wasn't going to be running a lot of Widowmaker. They knew that they were going to be running more Goats-oriented styles, or styles that just didn't have long-range hit scan, and they prepared appropriately. And it shows. I mean, in all the matches we've seen Australia play now, the three of them they've played in this group stage, the preparation has been immense. They have prepared counter strategies. The execution is crisp, and I love to see teams come into a group stage like this, not relying on their mechanics, but actually relying on strategic depth and so much preparation. You could just feel it and how they've set up this match against Sweden, as Cussa just said on the stage.
It's been absolutely wonderful. And I mean, talking to Australia coming into this tournament, you know, they said that Trill had really been prepping with that Hammond. But honestly, I think that his Winston is still a bit of a standout. His Hammond is still very good, as Wrecking Ball, whichever you prefer. But his Winston just kind of playing Frogger, going from one person to the other, just killing them with the leaps has been absolutely stunning to watch.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at the fan pulse brought to you guys by T-Mobile to see what you guys are saying at home. Only 1 minute in the timing in Australia. Full pushes on Kings Row against Sweden. That run was actually insane.
It very much was. I mean, we weren't anticipating that at all. And then at the same time, Sweden also almost pulled it off. They almost got there in OT themselves with that extra, I think, 26 seconds on top of it. So Kings Row, if you guys tuned in, you know, midway through this series, you definitely want to go back and watch the beginning of it because the whole thing all the way through was just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, indeed. So we're going to take a look at our next tweet here from Peter Marsh. Australia's World Cup team have been impressive in the clutch so far. So many close fights that look gone, and they're pulling them back.
Yeah, it's really just kind of been digging their talents in and pulling the victory to them. Australia, time and time again, it's like, oh man, they lost this one player. And then suddenly it's like, oh, but now they've killed 3. So I guess that's good. I guess maybe they win this fight now. It's just, you know, tooth and nail throughout the whole way. Sweden as well, fighting it very similarly, but unfortunately not able to get the success that was found by the Aussie boys.
Oh, when you're half asleep but quietly here chanting Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Well, that's what happened just earlier on stage. This is what's happening, no doubt, in Twitch chat and amongst viewing parties throughout Australia and probably other places in the world. Those people just love to say that no matter where you're from.
Just half asleep, just mumbling it to yourself, your SO, and it's like sitting on the other side of the room. It's like, what the heck are you doing? But guys, thank you so much for sending in the tweets. If you want to see your tweet up on the screen, go ahead and use the hashtag OWWC2018, and maybe we'll read it out loud and give us our thoughts on your thoughts. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from that series, because I'm sure there's plenty of them, because this was just absolute insanity all the way through.
I know we could just talk about the overarching story, because there's going to be a lot of crazy clips in here, but CKM's Farah was never a consistent answer for what Sweden was running, and Ilios is a bad matchup for the comfort picks for Team Sweden. And CKM, again, as you can see here on Well, just able to set up concussive mind kill onto Sharp, who was kind of trying to counter him. Then we moved into King's Row. Sharp had some incredible plays.
Can we see? Here we go.
Okay.
Come on!
I mean, he was literally blinded by the light in that moment. But his Widowmaker play alone was not enough because he didn't run it when Australia had the overtime push. Full completion with really about 30 seconds to go on the A capture because they swapped composition, so they were basically starting at ground zero from there. And there was just never an answer from Sweden for CKM's Farah. Again and again and again, you know, we begged Sweden and fans at home, Sweden fans were wondering when are they going to swap to counter this, and they just simply never did. As we see Punk having some great angles with self-destruct.
Shut down. Vic moving over to the Doomfist was a nice, was a nice thing to see. They really coupled it with a nano boost to ensure that he was going to be staying alive. The shields worked absolutely wonderfully for him. But then it was, on the attack itself, as Punk just gets the triple. The attack itself, when we saw the Reaper come out, that we kind of wanted to see a swap come through. Because it just held it for a bit too long, didn't have as much impact as that Doomfist did on the defense.
Yeah, and we saw some incredible defensive plays from Reinforce when he was on this Rhine here at the very end. As you can see, we're going to see this pin on the CKM.
Great, yeah.
And then we're going to see two probably big shatters here. This is the first one, or actually this is the final one.
Yeah, the swing's coming in, the point-blank fire strike here on Acosta as he just jumps across the side. But, I mean, great moments from both teams. Of course, this was not exactly a one-sided series. I would say it was very far from that, despite the scoreline. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be watching, the Reddit threads or whatever, Reddit lol in chat, I don't know. But they're going to be watching the threads, and they're going to see that 4-0 scoreline. They're going to be, oh man, Sweden must have gotten clapped. It's like, no, absolutely not. It was so very close. But there's still those improvements that can be made that would have allowed them to pick up some of those map wins, if not take the series. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that.
Yeah, well, there's still a lot of tournament left for Sweden. They'll be facing off against Spain in our final matchup. But that's not what we got going up next. We're going to have Denmark versus China.
See that, right? Yeah.
There
it is. All right, we're going to go ahead and throw over to a break. Denmark versus China coming up.